Hey, it's Modded. I'm going to try to keep this video pretty concise. Thanks, Gritzen, for agreeing to watch this video. I know you may not watch it right away because you guys just had PAX Prime, but I've been stalling and waiting too long to get this video out. Basically, in this video, I'm just going to quickly detail the underpowered weapons, like I said I would, and then I'll explain why, and I'll explain which weapons fit in which tiers, and the tiers being overpowered, balanced, and underpowered. My definitions for each tier is overpowered means a weapon can fit multiple niches, and when I mean weapon, I mean receiver, that can fit multiple niches and dominate each one, or that can dominate one niche better than others, than every other receiver in that niche, as well as be useful in other niches. Underpowered or balanced means it fits one niche and is good at that niche while not dominating more than one niche. And then underpowered would mean there's no niche that it dominates, so if it does dominate a niche, it's severely outperformed by another receiver, or there's just no niche we can find for it to work in. Alright, so I'm just going to start with the overpowered. I'm not really going to be suggesting nerfs, though I will be suggesting buffs. Part of that is Zombie needs to decide like what they want the gun to fill, and then just work on execution, because the truth is we don't know. As a community, we don't know what you design these guns for 100% of the time, so without that we can't tell you this is exactly what you need to do to balance it. So here's the AK. Here, let me show you this. This is a max accuracy AR. Alright, 0.5 degrees of ADS spread. I'm going to quickly throw together a accurate, not a max accuracy, but an accurate AK. So let me just change this up a little, and voila, here we go. 60 damage, which is a 20% increase from the AR, same rate of fire, and 0.53 degrees ADS spread, not even a 10%. This is a 6% accuracy decrease, I guess you could say. There's 6% more spread. So basically you get 20% higher damage and thus DPS in exchange for 6% more spread. Most people say absolutely perfect trade, and of course slightly more recoil, but it's not too bad by most people's standards. So that's one issue, is just the AK dominates. And the truth is, with the AK, it's not like this is the only place it is superior. I could throw on this barrel here, the jurisdiction, and it's now far more accurate than the AR. Look right there, it's 0.72 spread hip, 1.72 spread hip with the AR. It goes down a full degree. In fact, the only worst stat is move spread, but not significantly worse, and that's because of the weight, and that's also because I'm using the V2 folding as opposed to the ACP3 here. And of course you could also go low recoil builds. So that's the main issue with this gun, is the AK-470 just, it can do everything you want it to, as long as you aren't going for an average build. As long as you min-max, it's the best gun out there. M4X. Biggest issue is it was originally designed, as far as I understand, it was supposed to be a middle ground between the AR and SMG, and it just ends up being a flat-out upgrade to the SMG. As long as you counter the recoil, it's got superior accuracy, superior DPS, and superior range. I don't see any reason to use the SMG now for the M4X. And then of course it still does pretty well out at medium range. Maybe not quite as well as say like the HAR, but it is effective. That's the main issue with this gun. And the last OP weapon is BFR. It's not. It used to be the most OP in my opinion. It's now one of the lesser OP weapons. Issue is basically no matter where you put it, it's still going to do well because it's super accurate. If I were to go ahead and change the stock out for this stock, it's got crazy good spread in every single category. very high DPS, because even though you lowered the DPS with the damage, it's still got a super high fire rate, and you can spam the gun. There's not much of a delay between bursts, which means it's got a superior rate of fire to the AR, means it will out DPS as long as you can counter the recoil and the kind of wonky way the recoil works, and the burst function. It's a flat out superior gun to the AR and lots of other guns. It's one of the few guns where its accuracy just makes it rule. This was a gun that's, it was known for having extreme DPS and accuracy. Well, it's still got very, very good DPS. In fact, it's still got superior DPS, just not as bad, and then very, very good accuracy. So that's where this gun is OP'd, in that you can apply it to almost any niche, and it will do better than the AR. Which, moving on to the balanced weapons, that's the niche of the AR. The AR is good in all niches, but not great. It's not going to be a sniper, though you can use it at okay range. It's not going to be your face wrecker up close. That's what you got M4X or SMG for. But it can hold its own. So that the BFR can handle every niche like the AR, but do better than the AR. So the AR is perfectly fine. Bolt action, nothing to discuss. It just dominates long range. CR, same. It's just a little more forgiving up close. HAR, great gun. You guys did a good job with the HAR. And then the AMR, I'm not going to bother discussing. You guys did a great job in balancing that gun. Underpowered weapons, this is what I said I'd talk about most. The issue that plagues pretty much all these underpowered weapons is they don't fit a niche. Why? There's no reason to use it. Right now, let me go back here. So here's my max accuracy AR. I'm going to compare that with the max accuracy SMG. Well, here's the thing. The SMG takes, actually in the same build, it looks like it takes a considerable DPS. It actually has worse DPS here, believe it or not. It has approximately 20% worse damage per shot, and it has, well, let's just say not a 20% rate of fire increase. So it's got worse DPS than the AR. Spread aim doesn't even matter because it's got so much horizontal recoil. So it's more accurate. Only issue is the accuracy only matters if you're hitting more shots or you're landing more headshots. Truth be told, the AR is just as good when it comes to like move spread up close. When you're up close, the spread is irrelevant. This could be 5 degrees, and up close it would still land headshots fairly accurately. I did say fairly accurately. And of course this gun has just not nearly as much versatility. Most people say, you know what, this gun would probably do a little bit better up close than the AR. But the truth is, do I really want to use a gun that even though it may be slightly better than the AR up close, it just completely is useless outside of close range, whereas the AR is good up close and at medium range. So that's the thing, a lot of people don't see that as a worthy trade. LMG, I love this gun. First receiver I permed. I loved it, past tense. Why? Because it was a complete wrecking ball in that it had a ton of DPS, just not very good accuracy. Now basically its accuracy, as you can see, is very bad, even with a max accuracy build, which basically means you're not going to be able to land as many shots. And the fact is, it falls into the category of, there's 3 categories I guess accuracy wise. So accurate, like there's super accurate weapons, but they're so accurate that it's overkill. Then there's weapons that have enough accuracy, and then there's weapons that just don't have enough accuracy. And really the only weapon that just doesn't have enough accuracy is the LMG. So it doesn't fill anything other than maybe a suppressive fire role, which you could then just use a relentless AR mag. So the big issue with the LMG is, honestly, it's not even accurate enough that I would recommend going for headshots with this gun. that really just kills it. It just will not outgun most guns unless you get the jump on them. Moving on, TSMG. Same issue as the normal SMG. It's got good accuracy, but the truth is it overkill? Yes. It's just an SMG with better accuracy and worse range or worse DPS. And honestly, that accuracy is not really noticeable unless you're hip firing at long range. And if you're hip firing at long range, half the time it would be better to ADS, and for the times it's not better to ADS, you're right there on the on the range stat, and you're starting to hit damage drop off. So that really renders its increased accuracy pointless, which makes this also worse than the SMG in my opinion. It takes the faults of the SMG and specializes in it. LMGR, I'm going to quickly just detail the LMGR. I'm going to quickly throw together a max spread LMGR so you can see how much spread it's got. Let's take this and let's put this stock. Alright, here we go. Max spread LMGR. Look at that spread. 2.41 degrees, okay? Makes it very inaccurate. In fact, I think the only... Let's see, is there any other gun that's as inaccurate? Okay, the only gun that's less accurate is the LMGR. Or the normal LMG, sorry. So, normal LMG is less accurate, but every other gun's super accurate. Now look at the HAR. HAR is the most comparable weapon, having very similar fire rate and the exact same damage stats. And oh my gosh, it's how many times more accurate? It's more than 3 times as accurate as the LMGR. That's the big issue. There's no reason to use the LMGR in the fact that its damage isn't the best, and it just isn't very accurate. It just can't hit those shots. You want to use this at medium long range because its low fire rate will get you in trouble up close, and it's just not accurate enough to be very good at long range. So this gun needs a accuracy buff, major accuracy buff, and maybe a slight damage buff. Of course, it could also take not so much of an accuracy buff and then a big damage buff. One of the two would really make this gun useful. BPFA is kind of in the same group as the LMGR in that it relied on a stat that doesn't exist anymore, whereas the LMGR relied on max spread to be good at medium long range. This gun relied on low max spread and low bloom when you were ADSing, which basically means since bloom doesn't exist, this gun's advantage doesn't exist anymore. While you guys have done a lot of stuff to buff it, as in better move spread, super low recoil, high run speed, it still has one major fault. That is, its DPS is so crappy. In fact, one of the lowest DPSs in the game. I think the only gun with worse DPS is maybe a absolute minimum damage TSMG. But aside from that, this gun has such a low DPS that its superior accuracy, its superior handling just aren't enough to make people want to use a gun that just won't kill their enemies as fast. And so, honestly, accuracy is only useful if it helps you kill your enemies faster, and if it doesn't, it's useless. And that's kind of what makes the BPFA useless. And then BSMG, while statistically it's got better damage and better range, it has one huge drawback. Its effective rate of fire is so much lower because it's got the same actual rate of fire as the SMG, except that it's got a burst, and unlike the BFR, there's a very substantial burst delay, or delay between bursts, which means its DPS is extremely low. To buff it, honestly, just in my opinion, make it so that you can spam burst like the BFR. That's really what it needs. It's just its effective DPS is really low. And on top of that, most people don't like the fact that it's very ammo inefficient.